behind the furnace. That's where it was, covered under 3 inches of dust.
It's been 8 years since Ali Shauber knocked on doors in London, Ontario,
Saying no to increased taxes and yes to tax relief.
Asking for voters to lend him their support. Now he's speaking out about the darker side of running for political office.
What were some of the things you heard?
Sometimes it was explicit, sometimes it was implicit. Sometimes it was Muslims don't belong in this race, let alone this country. Very direct comment. Some of my election signs were defaced with somebody spray-painted terrorist on one of them.
Ali ran for the Ontario Progressive Conservatives in 2011 and 2013. He says he never told the party or even his family about some of the vitriol he faced. He feared it would become a distraction from the issues he wanted to focus on.
It means that you run the risk of being defined as that candidate, and you may have incredible ideas when it comes to policy on education or healthcare or fiscal policy or whatever it is, but nobody ever listens to that.
After a deadly act of violence against a Muslim family in his hometown, Ali decided it was finally time to talk about what he'd experienced. While he says he expected some political opposition at the door, he didn't expect the racism to be so blatant.
I do know definitively that people said to me directly from their lips to my ears that they would not be voting for any Muslim candidate, myself included.
Ali didn't win, and he says he'd consider running again, but questions of safety come to mind. Candidates of color can become targets.
The front window of my office was smashed in. There was one occasion where my tire was slashed, and that's a bit frightening.
Jenny Kwan has been in politics for nearly 30 years.
I'm so proud to be the first Chinese Canadian woman ever elected to the BC legislature.
Holding office at all 3 levels of government. But she's suffered personal insults for who she is along the way.
My natural heritage is being mocked.
She says racist attacks and hateful comments are getting more brazen.
They are finding their voice more and more now. I've had to call the police on one occasion where someone came into the office, was absolutely belligerent and was racist, was sexist, misogynistic.
Jenny's office is now equipped with panic buttons, and staff are directed never to be alone.
Was there ever a point where it deterred you and you thought, I don't know if I want to have to deal with this?
It's just a bit of a shock to your system, always, every time. And then I thought, you know what? I am going to fight for this every step of the way, and people will not get to silence me, because if they make me go away, they win.
But getting in is no easy task for many candidates of color. Jenny credits her former colleagues for helping her get a foot in the door.
My mentor, the late Jim Green, chose not to run for the nomination in Vancouver, Mount Pleasant back in 1996 because he said, kiddo, I want you to run. Because sometimes we have to make space for people that don't look like me. 2021 election, here we come.
It's those kinds of moves more parties need to be willing to make, says Karen Bird, a political science professor at McMaster who studies representation in the electoral system.
It's not just about chasing the ethnic vote. Let's actually think about fairness and justice.
Karen says Canada's political parties favor minority groups that are geographically concentrated. That's allowed South Asian candidates to succeed in certain suburbs, but doesn't necessarily apply to other, more dispersed communities.
This doesn't function this way for, say, Black Canadians, we don't find these kinds of big concentrations. I don't think that there's a riding in Canada that has more than 25% Black population. And so the parties are less inclined to nominate a Black candidate.
And there's only been, in Canada's history, since Confederation, we've only had 3 Black federal cabinet ministers, if you think about that, right? So there's not a lot of representation.
Velma Morgan runs Operation Black Vote Canada. For almost 20 years, she's been trying to get more Black Canadians into politics. Challenges with fundraising and networking, she says, can hold many possible candidates back.
Diversity is a nice, pretty picture, but inclusion means that I'm sitting at the decision-making table and my voice is just as valuable and powerful as a person sitting beside me.
The honourable member for Nunavut.
Mr. Speaker, I have never felt safe or protected in my position, especially within the House of Commons.
Racialized politicians have recently revealed the realities of life inside Parliament.
Let me be honest, brutally honest. Nice words with no action hurt when they are uttered by those with power.
In June, Inuk MP Momolak Kakak announced she was leaving politics, expressing frustration at the government's inaction on issues concerning her community. She's not the only woman of color to leave federal politics disillusioned. Former Liberal MP Selena Caesar-Chavin says she felt tokenized and silenced. And now independent Jody Wilson-Raybould says she won't be running for re-election, saying in a letter that Parliament has regressed, become more toxic, and marginalizes certain communities.
In the end, party discipline prevails in Canada. Party discipline is incredibly powerful.
And that's a problem, says Karen, if the country is to move from symbolic representation to substantive representation.
Representation means more than what she looks like, what she identifies as.
Do you feel like there's a lot of tokenism in politics?
From time to time, yes.
Bibi Hakeem works for a Liberal candidate in Ontario. She hopes all political parties can move beyond diversity just for optics.
I'm half Muslim, half Hindu. So right off the bat, I check off that diversity bucket. But I don't just have that identity. I come from Etobicoke North, which my community experiences different things, from mental health to housing to issues with education or access to healthcare.
So tell me a little bit about your background.
For sure. So
The child of Guyanese immigrants, Bibi dreams of one day running and eventually becoming
the first elected woman Prime Minister of Canada of color.
But for young candidates of color to reach Canada's top office, Bibi says they need more support.
And I think they need mentorship. I'm considering myself very lucky, but looking at other young individuals and young people of color, they don't have the same opportunity that I have come across.
Despite having gone through her own experiences of racism, she believes that fighting to have voices like hers in office is vital.
I think what motivates me is if I don't, who will? And I know for me, representation matters.
And she hopes the future House of Commons will better reflect the country. Ginella, Massa, CBC News, Toronto.